And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we are talking about the most recent news around the Washington Commanders as they are releasing Jonathan Allen. We're going to be talking about the impact this has on the Washington Commanders and the possible landing spots for Jonathan Allen. Next, we're going to be talking about Trey Hendrickson. We're going to be talking about the real possibility of the Washington Commanders going out and trading for Trey Hendrickson. And lastly, we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders bringing back a familiar face in Chris Rodriguez Jr. And so let's go ahead and start with the most recent news around Jonathan Allen. This is a tweet here that you can find via Adam Scheffler. And look, he's saying the Commanders have informed two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen today, which was Friday. He is being released per sources. The team is allowing Allen to hit free agency early. He is now expected to be one of the top defensive tackles on the market. And so, with that being said, and so when we look at the impact now for the Washington Commanders and what this means, and so clearly with this release, this frees up $16.5 million for the season salary cap, and this leaves $6 million in dead cap hit for the Washington Commanders. And essentially, as far as the overall now, the Commanders have $80.7 million right now, but the numbers likely will change as we also have other free agents to really account for it. So with that being said, look, I think from a money standpoint, this helps the Washington Commanders now move, I think, even more into the direction of just being aggressive. That's something that Adam Peters really talked about in saying that he wants to be aggressive with the Washington Commanders. And I certainly think he's going to do everything that he can do to improve this football team to get to a Super Bowl and hopefully win it. And so I think that, look, Washington is now in a position now. You have the salary cap, so you can go out, you can make a major move. I think that Adam Peters has shown us that, look, he is willing to go out and get the player, but it's obviously got to be at the right price point. And that's what you love about Adam Peters. I definitely love the fact that he just thinks about these moves. And so, look, this is unfortunate. You know, it's part of the business because I do love what Jonathan Allen has really, just meant to the Washington franchise. I think that he does or has done a great job with this team. I love the fact that he was able to really fight back from injury last season and help this team in the playoffs. And so you love that about Jonathan Allen. Look, he's been a team captain for us, and it's just unfortunate. You know, again, this is part of the business. I think that you look at the productivity. Look, I think that clearly you could see there was a bit of a decline with the productivity, but I still think that, that Jonathan Allen can definitely be still a contributor at a high level, which leads us now to the next positions for Jonathan Allen. You know, I think that if I'm just predicting where he would go, I think that a move to maybe the Chicago Bears, I think that that maybe makes a lot of sense. I could see him back over there with Montez Sweat. Another destination, for Jonathan Allen, maybe it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I could see Coach Mike Tomlin, that defense. I think that he really fits well with what they would like to do. And so I think that those are two landing spots for Jonathan Allen, the Chicago Bears and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so now shifting focus in what this means just long-term for the Washington Commanders, I think that clearly this just shows us that the Washington Commanders have absolutely got to just, I think, upgrade the defense. And I think that you certainly can do that. And you have an opportunity now with the news that we hear about Trey Hendrickson. I think that now that that is official, that the Cincinnati Bengals have gone out, they've granted him permission to seek a trade. I think that you go out and get Trey Hendrickson. I know that Myles Garrett has definitely been mentioned here, but I think if we're looking at just, the more realistic between the two, I think that Trey Hendrickson is probably going to be the one the Washington Commanders can certainly get, I think, more in the immediate. I'm not saying that Myles Garrett he can't become available and he's not a good fit for the Washington Commanders. But I think that right now with Myles Garrett and, where the Cleveland Browns are and just really they seem to be just kind of locked in and they're not budging, I think that that situation is going to take a bit longer to really figure out. But I think that now with the Trey Hendrickson news, I think that he certainly is a player the Washington Commanders can get. And if it is something where we're talking about just a first round pick for him, not sure what the draft compensation ultimately is going to be for him. But if it's just one draft pick and they just want a first rounder, I would definitely go ahead and do that, because look, at pick 29, I don't know if you're necessarily going to get a productive player like a Trey Hendrickson. I mean, obviously, when you're drafting players, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's been situations where maybe a round 2, a round 3, maybe even a round 4 or later actually outperforms a first round pick. And I think that if you go out and get Trey Hendrickson, I think you get a player right now that is going to be able to give you at least a good 3 years. And I think that that really is what Adam Peters would want to do. And that's kind of maximize this rookie contract that Jaden Daniels is on. And so make no mistake about it, I think that Jaden Daniels has a lot of good football left in him, but you certainly want to maximize this opportunity while he is on, I think, really a team-friendly contract. And so that means that, look, with the market being reset, with Max Crosby getting a little over, $30 million per, I think that you can certainly offer Trey Hendrickson that. And then who knows what you can do as far as the dead cap space and how you can move that around. But I do think you go out and do that because, look, he has been super productive over his last couple seasons. And I'm not talking about just this last season. Look, when you look at the statistics here with Trey Hendrickson and you see, look, he has had 17.5 sacks in 2023. He had 17.5 in 2024. And you love that he's able to get home and get the sacks, because I've said this before with the Washington Commanders, if you don't have to call a blitz and you have a home run hitter like Trey Hendrickson, you go get him. And I love the fact that he's been durable. Look, since he's been with Cincinnati, he's played in 16, 15, 17 games. That's perfect. Like, the best availability is being available. And so I think that that is why you feel more comfortable extending him once you go out and get him. And look, if it's not going to be a first round pick, then I would even be comfortable if you have to pair picks. That means if you have to go out and you go give them maybe a second this year, a second for the next season, I would say you would go do that. If that is what it's going to take to get him done, you have the money to get the extension done. I think he's a home run hitter for the Washington Commanders, and you go get him. And so next up, the next thing that I wanted to talk about here is the recent re-signing of Chris Rodriguez Jr. And so it looks like that the Washington Commanders will be bringing back Chris Rodriguez Jr. And so he was tendered in the sense that, look, he did not have the, I guess, negotiation, or he can't negotiate with other teams. I think that that was part of his deal. And so it looks like that the Washington Commanders are going to go ahead and bring him back. So when you look at his impact, look, he has played in 22 games for the Commanders over the last 2 seasons. He has 86 carries, 420 yards, and 4 touchdowns, as well as 3 catches for 23 yards. And so when you look at Chris Rodriguez Jr. and his impact, I love this signing. I think that with the way he ran, it fits well with the Washington Commanders scheme. I thought he ran with some toughness, and I really feel like he is just a guy that just needs some opportunity. And who knows what's going to happen with Jeremy McNichols. He's set to become an unrestricted free agent, so there's no guarantee that he's going to come back. And look, with the injuries with Brian Robinson Jr. and then Austin Eckler, there's a real chance that Chris Rodriguez Jr. could be an impact player for the Washington Commanders this next season. And that's even if they go out and draft a running back. I think that Chris Rodriguez Jr. would be perfect for this roster, because then if you have to bring that next running back in and you have to bring them up to speed until you feel comfortable with them playing a major role with this team, I feel like Chris Rodriguez Jr. can be that player that helps, kind of bridge that gap. And also, too, he is a player that is a part of your foundation. And that's something that Adam Peters really, really talked about, is he really wanted to go out and continue to have that foundation strong moving forward with this team. I think that that was really the biggest change, is just the way that this team now just operates structurally. and just how they carry themselves and just what they stand on at this point in time. You want to continue to really build upon that winning culture, the winning habits that are there. And so I think that he's a guy that certainly adds to that. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking here with the Washington Commanders, with this recent release of Jonathan Allen. Is this a situation where you think that, yes, the Washington Commanders are most certainly going to address the defensive side of the ball now? And then with Trey Hendrickson, do you think that the Washington Commanders absolutely should go out and get Trey Hendrickson over? Do you feel like that this is the better option right now over Myles Garrett? And lastly, what are you thinking about Chris Rodriguez Jr. coming back to the club? I think that this is a great sign for the Washington Commanders, and I think it's really going to pay off here. So let me know in the comments. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.